It's time for Cactus League Baseball from beautiful Sloan Park in Mesa. The Oakland A's against the Chicago Cubs. A little chilly here in the Valley of the Sun today. Folks dressed in sweaters and jackets. Opening day at Wrigley 4 weeks away from today. Welcome to Cubs television. Pat Hughes along with Jim DeShays. JD, the Cubs winning yesterday over Seattle, and the new center fielder Cody Bellinger had a big day.
Yeah, I think Cody Bellinger is one of the more interesting players in baseball. The 2019 MVP. We know all about his struggles in recent seasons. He's only 27 years old. How close can he get to being the guy he was in 2019? Good swing yesterday here. This line drive to center field. Next time, a little flare to left. But a two-hit day for Cody Bellinger. He's off to a pretty good start here this spring, 4 out of 10. If he can come close at all to what he was in 19, the Cubs are going to have a heck of a player on their hands.
The Cubs starting pitcher today, Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, second time for Stroh this spring to take the mound. Last time against the Giants in the opener. 2 innings, 2 hits, a run, a strikeout, and a walk. He will be departing soon to play for Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. But all systems go right now for Marcus Stroman.
Baseball right around the corner. We'll be back to get it underway right after this.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Taylor McGregor.
Thanks so much, Pat Hughes. Great to be on the call with you. Just some updates on Seiya Suzuki. We've been following his injury as it was announced earlier this week that he's dealing with a moderate left oblique strain. Today, Cubs president of baseball operations, Jed Hoyer, spoke with the media about the potential timeline of his return.
We're not going to put any firm timetables on it, but I think there's a general expectations of, what a moderate oblique injury is, and I think that certainly would put opening day in strong jeopardy, and we just want to make sure we get him completely healthy. So, when that is, if he comes back, I'm not sure, but when he does come back, he's going to be ready to go, and not, we're not going to be concerned about it.
The biggest thing that Jed Hoyer was emphasizing is they don't want to rush him back just so he's back for opening day. If it's a couple weeks after opening day, that's okay as long as he is healthy. And so now we talk about the other options. Mike Tauchman is one of the names we've been listing off in recent days, and we will get the chance to see him out in right field here this afternoon, guys.
Taylor, thank you. Cubs are on the field. Marcus Stroman on the mound. The A's lineup is brought to you by Ford. Tony Kemp, former Cub, to lead it off. Former Cardinal Diaz batting second. You can see Jesus Aguilar, former Brewer, hitting cleanup. Another former Brewer, Jace Peterson, in the number 7 spot in the A's order today against Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, Marcus Stroman, the starting pitcher for the Cubs, is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Limited a little bit due to injury last year. Made 25 starts, pitched well, had a losing record at 6-7. And a very good 3.50 ERA. Ground ball is the name of the game for Marcus Stroman. Ground ball rate of 52%. And since he's been in the league, he's among the league leaders in that department. Doesn't walk people, keeps the ball in the ballpark. The Cubs defensively is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Ian Happ is in left today. Cody Bellinger in center. They are both Gold Glove winners. Mike Tauchman, as Taylor mentioned, gets a start in right this afternoon. The Cubs have been experimenting with Nick Madrigal down at third base. He'll get another go there today. McKinstry and Horner are up the middle. 4-time Gold Glove winner Eric Hosmer is at first base, and veteran Tucker Barnhart with his own 2 Gold Gloves behind the plate. There's Rossi. Always issues to deal with in spring training, always injuries. Seiya the most prominent. And Patrick Wisdom still dealing with a little bit of a groin issue. Justin Steele had to miss his start due to arm fatigue, but apparently he's good to go.
Listening to Jed Hoyer's comments, JD, I think every player wants to be on the field playing on opening day, but you also have to use common sense in preparing him to be ready for that game.
Right, yeah, and obliques can be tricky, and if you push too hard to come back too soon and you really blow it out, then you're going to miss half a season. So you just can't afford to do that. You have to be really smart about your preparation and how you work your way back from that kind of injury.
Stroman a year ago, 6 wins and 7 losses in his first year in a Cub uniform. He did make 25 starts. And we are underway. Fastball in there for a called strike to Tony Kemp.
Stroman working off the extreme first base side of the rubber. Likes to sink that fastball down and away from the left-handed hitters. That will induce a lot of ground balls.
Taking a look at the umpires today, Alex McKay has drawn the assignment of calling balls and strikes. Alex, the only umpire wearing the powder blue long sleeve shirt today. Cracked on the ground. That's foul past first. And the other umpires, Alfonso Marquez, Adrian Johnson, and Jordan Baker will be the 3 men at the bases today. 4 men umpiring crews in Cactus League. It used to be just 2 men would work, and then 3, and now they've gone for the full complement of 4.
They got more responsibilities now, right? Got pitch clocks and shifts you got to be mindful of.
JD, you've seen 4 or 5 games now with the new rules in place. What is your first impression?
I love it. I love the pace of play that we're seeing. There was a game yesterday, the Reds and the A's, as a matter of fact. They played a 14-14 game. There were 29 hits, and they managed to play it in 3 hours and 16 minutes.
Not bad.
Yeah, a year ago that would have been a 4-hour game.
Chopper foul. Still a full count on the leadoff hitter Tony Kemp. Just underway here in Mesa. Major League Baseball printed some data regarding the first few games in the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. Scoring is up about a run and a half per game, adding the totals of both teams, that is. Batting averages are up about 13 points across the board, and the time of game 22 minutes quicker than a year ago. Stroman uncharacteristically walking the leadoff man Tony Kemp, and the A's have a man on to start the game. Aledmus Diaz stepping in, former Cardinal.
Double play in order. We'll see if Mark Kotze, the second-year manager of the A's, has Kemp on the move here. Oh, he's gone. Step off.
Stroman throws to second, and Kemp is going to be an easy out at second base. Kemp took off very soon. Was there a balk call?
I think they called a balk. Yeah, he's trying to anticipate first move. Leaves too early. Both the second base umpire and the home plate umpire had the balk call. I'm not sure exactly what he did.
I was going to ask you, JD. I was reading a week or so ago, as Diaz takes outside, there's going to be a renewed focus on balks and illegal pitches. So the umpires, in addition to everything else, they're transitioning into this spring. Good fastball, and the count now 1-1.
Yeah, they reached out to a number of pitchers who have, I guess, for lack of a better word, kind of funky deliveries, and they've talked to them, and they're going to have to tighten that up a little bit. A lot of the rule changes, you know, we're talking about pace of play. We're talking about trying to increase action. I think they're trying to free the base runners up, base stealers. So I have no issue with calling legitimate balks. You see a lot of weird balk calls, and I hope they don't go crazy with it.
And the 1-2. With Kyle Hendricks still trying to come back from the shoulder issues, and he will not be with the Cubs on opening day. That strike 3 called, a much needed strikeout. 1 away and a man at second, and the batter is Seth Brown.
See if we can see what Stroman did to cause the balk call here. Maybe just a little bit of a buckle with the front leg here. Yeah, just that little flinch you could see.
Seth Brown will take an off-speed pitch low and outside for a ball. But I was going to say Stroman has a very strong chance to be the opening day starting pitcher for the Cubs on March the 30th at Wrigley against Milwaukee.
Yeah, I would assume that would be the case unless there's an injury issue. Got off to a bumpy start last year and then was able to right the ship. Really good down the stretch.
Hard hit to center. Bellinger back, makes the catch. Holding at second is Kemp, and that's out number 2. The ball started to slice toward the gap. Bellinger chased it and ran it down.
Yeah, you may recall, you may not. Early last year, Stroman struggled. He was trying to change his game a little bit. They had him throwing more four-seam fastballs, and it just kind of got outside of his comfort zone a little bit, and he really struggled. Obviously, coming to a new team, always an issue too, but through 9 starts, a 5.32 ERA. But look what he did over his last 16 starts, 91 1/3, and posted a 2.56 ERA. And more importantly, got back to being Marcus Stroman, one ground ball after another.
And thinking of pace of play, he always has had a good quick pace. So not much of a transition for him this spring in that regard. Jesus Aguilar. Looks like he has trimmed down a little bit from his days with Milwaukee and Miami. He used to go about 300 pounds. But despite his size, a pretty graceful and effective defensive first baseman, I've always thought.
Pretty good hands. He has some, obviously, power. That's his primary tool. A's are a mess. They lost 102 games last year. They might end up losing 100 games again this year. As a team, batted .216 last season. It's the lowest team batting average in the DH era, and the second lowest for a full season, not counting, say, 2020, the COVID year, since 1900. Only the '68 Yankees as a team batted lower than the A's in 2022.
That is a low average, isn't it?
A low average. I mean, batting average around the game has been going down in recent years, but they were woefully bad. And batting average can be a little bit overrated as a statistic, but they were just not good. They didn't pitch particularly well either, and that's how you end up losing 102 ball games.
They were dead last in the attendance category as well, under 800,000 for the entire year. Slow chopper to a charging Madrigal, makes the play and throws him out. No runs for the A's. Stroman off to a good start. Cubs coming up.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Lee.
Can't find it at Benny's. It's probably not worth drinking. Nico Horner to lead things off today for the Cubs, followed by Ian Happ. Cody Bellinger will hit third. Eric Hosmer, who's going to join us, by the way, on the air in the top of the third inning during the game, will hit cleanup. Madrigal, Barnhart, Tauchman, Velasquez, and McKinstry. Against the left-hander J.P. Sears.
Brought to you by Budweiser. This is Bud's for you. Last year he worked for the Yankees and the A's, both at the big league and AAA level. Fastball at 93, slider and a changeup. Did nice work last year, 6-3 with a 3.86 ERA.
Nico drives one to deep left center. Back is Ruiz near the track, makes the catch. On a warmer day that might have carried all the way out of here. Good wood for Nico, but it's out number 1.
A's defensively is brought to you by UI Health. You saw Ruiz, the speedster, in center. He's flanked by Brown and Blade. Familiar names on the infield. Veterans Peterson, Diaz, Kemp, and Aguilar. Third to first. Shane Langoliers is the backstop.
Ian Happ, the switch hitter, batting right-handed. Takes a backdoor breaking ball that stays outside. There's a base hit to left. Solid single for Ian Happ. Scoreless game, bottom of the first, one away and a man on for Cody Bellinger.
Ian Happ, big part of his story last year was the improved work from the right side of the plate. And he gets on top of this pitch and just rifles it into left field. Nice smooth swing. Good high ball hitter from the right side.
Aguilar to hold Happ at first. Bellinger takes outside. Heard you talking about Bellinger on the very open that we did, JD, and he was an amazing player for the Dodgers back in 2019. League MVP, 47 home runs, drove in 115. But in the last 3 years combined, which have featured a lot of injuries, he's had a grand total of just 41 home runs in the last 3 years after 47 in his MVP campaign.
Yeah, he's seen a spike in his strikeout rate. You know, that MVP year, his walk strikeout numbers were really good. Since then, there's been a lot more swing and miss.
He's a strong defensive player as well. Played for the world champion Dodgers. Here's a looper into shallow center, falling in for a base hit. Happ will stop at second.
So the story about the little girl with the curl in her forehead. When she was good, she was really, really good. And when she was bad, she was horrid. Well, when he was good, Bellinger was, I mean, MVP good. And again, I mentioned this yesterday with Coombe. Maybe the most important number for Bellinger is his age. He's only 27. He should be right smack in the middle of his prime. So if healthy, change of scenery, a lot of reasons to think he can have a big bounce back year.
The veteran Eric Hosmer steps in. Check swing on a breaking ball. It missed low and away. Again, we're going to visit with Hosmer during the action today, during the third inning. Played for the world champion Royals back in 2015. And another good defensive player as well.
Won 4 Gold Gloves. Seen a pretty good drop off in his production in recent seasons.
Much has been made, JD, about the great overall defense the Cubs should be able to feature on a pretty regular basis this year. As a former pitcher like yourself, does that strong defense almost naturally lead to better pitching performances?
Well, if you got guys that can make plays behind you, for sure. And I don't think it changes your thought process or the way you attack hitters.
Hosmer out on strikes for out number 2. Pretty good curveball from J.P. Sears. And it's up to Nick Madrigal.
With Hosmer, Madrigal, Horner in the lineup, those are 3 guys that don't swing and miss very much. Now, Hosmer just punched out. You know, when you start talking about the Cubs lineup, recent years have been a lot of strikeout, and we're seeing more and more contact type guys in play.
I was listening to David Ross talking about the defense behind a pitcher. He said a pitcher doesn't have to feel like he has to strike everybody out. Let them put the ball in play. I want you to hit it to one of my teammates.
Especially guys who sink the ball. Injury's a big part of the Nick Madrigal story last year, but since he's been a big leaguer, and he doesn't have a ton of big league time, he's shown that he has the ability to put the ball in play. Rarely swings and misses. Minimum 200 plate appearances last year. 3rd lowest swing and miss rate. Hey, get out of there.
Scoreless game, bottom of the first, 2 outs, 2 on. This is a classic RBI spot. Number 5 hitter batting. 2 men on, first inning. This will repeat itself hundreds of times over the course of a year. That's a fair ball. It's going to drive in one. It might chase in a pair. The long-legged Bellinger rounding third, heading to the plate. Here comes the relay towards home. He slides in safely. Madrigal safe at third with a 2-run double. And he went to third on the throw home. Cubs lead 2-0.
Good work by Madrigal here. Got the count in his favor and was aggressive. Got a pitch from the left-hander, kind of a cutter moving in on his hands. He was able to pull the hands in and get the barrel to this one and whack it right down the third baseline. Half easily, and then Bellinger had to push it to get home with run number 2.
Singles by Happ and Bellinger, and a clutch 2-out, 2-run double for Nick Madrigal. Tucker Barnhart, 32-year-old, one of the new catchers for the Cubs. Another guy that can play some defense. Had a couple of Gold Gloves for defensive work in Cincinnati. And there's something special, I've always thought, JD, about either a shortstop or a catcher getting a Gold Glove, because those two spots, it seems like, are involved in so many plays and pitches. If you're strong defensively with a catcher and a shortstop, you're going to have a pretty good overall strong defense.
Yeah, we talk a lot about defense up the middle, right? And that's where the Cubs are in great shape. They're catching tandem with Swanson and Horner in the middle of the diamond and Bellinger in center. Those are the guys who will get the bulk of the playing time. And you see the new ads, all very good defenders.
Barnhart is out on strikes. Cubs scored twice. We were talking about defense, and here's a guy ready to play a little defense. Yes, sir. Put him in.
Oh, what a good time we will have.
Nothing lead. And nice to get a tweet from Trekkie Bogle. Liked his first Cubs spring training game so much, he's back for another. With Stroh on the mound. Ryan Noda leads it off, fouls away the first offering by Stroman. Noda, the designated hitter for the A's today. Oakland managed by Mark Kotsay, former big leaguer, played for a lot of different teams, San Diego and Atlanta among others. Played for Oakland for a while as well.
Last year was his first year as a big league manager after 10+ years of Bob Melvin. They give Kotsay the reins. It's one of those deals where there's only 30 of 30 big league jobs, so you're happy to get one, but he knew what he was getting into when he took over that roster. Trying to rebuild yet again.
1-2 from Marcus Stroman to Ryan Noda. Getting back to Kotsay just for a moment. He made some baseball history by hitting for a cycle in a game against the Cubs, playing for Atlanta back in 2008. Check swing got him. Sounded like a foul tip. Let's go down to Taylor McGregor.
Well, Pat, you were talking about Marcus Stroman and the pace in which he pitches with. After his first start here in the Cactus League, him and some of the coaches sat down and realized that he was almost pitching with a pace in which he could slow down a little bit and still have time to get in the batter's box and have his pitch on time. And so what the coaches and Marcus Stroman and I think several other pitchers around the league might start doing is using different tempos to throw off the hitter. And so that's an interesting sort of piece of this cat and mouse game that I think you could look forward to as the season progresses.
Good point, Taylor. I think, JD, in thinking about pitchers working quicker, I think it's going to simply make some guys better pitchers. They're going to get more of a rhythm. And I think some guys who never were necessarily quick workers are going to find that they like this new pace of play.
Yeah, I agree. I think they will. I think guys, when they're forced to try something, they may resist initially and then ultimately find that it works for them. That's the comments we've heard from Max Scherzer. He was talking about it. He pushed back initially, and then after his outing the other day, he said, I love it. I can control the tempo. So it's going to be an issue, right? The hitter has to be engaged, alert to the pitcher with 8 seconds left on the clock. So the challenge for the hitter is going to be to make sure you don't make eye contact with that pitcher until you're ready to go. Because, once you do, then the pitcher can come at you at any time. He can start his delivery now, or he can hold the ball for 8 or 9 seconds before he pitches. So there's one throw over. So we'll get into the disengagement rule. You're allowed per plate appearance, you're allowed 2, and if on the third one you don't record an out, it's a balk.
Former Brewer Jace Peterson signed a multi-year deal with these A's in the offseason. He's always had a little power. How would you describe your pace when you were a big league pitcher?
I think with nobody on, I was probably average. With men on base, I was probably slow. My teammates from the Florida State League would tell you when I was pitching down there, I was really slow because it was so hot and humid. I would have to take my glasses off and wipe the fog off them, like between every pitch.
Let's bring it back to Taylor McGregor.
Well, talking about Jace Peterson, I think Cub fans are familiar with him because of his time in Milwaukee, but he is brothers-in-law with Dansby Swanson. Jace's wife, Bree, and Dansby's wife, Mallory, are sisters. How about that?
Good stuff.
Now, Dansby's wife is a soccer player, as we know in Chicago. Is Peterson's wife a soccer player as well?
She played at the University of Oregon.
Okay.
Really good soccer player.
Wow.
Not to the level of Mal, but both very athletic girls.
Off-speed pitch got him. Strikeout for Stroman, his 4th of the day. 2 down, 2nd inning. Cubs lead by 2 as we watch it again.
Kind of like a slider that backed up a little bit, like a gyro ball.
J.J. Bleday at the plate takes a strike. Last time we saw him, he was playing for Miami last season. Looper the other way. That's going to drop for a base hit. Bleday fisting one into the opposite field for a 2-out single. And with 2 men on, it'll bring up Ruiz.
Down near the label of the bat. Doesn't really hit it all that hard, but effective. See the players blowing on their hands. It's that cold here today in Arizona.
Ruiz takes a strike. Last night they had a torrential downpour here in the Phoenix area. Talking to some people around the ballpark when we got here this morning, it was a real quagmire. Right center, playable for Bellinger. He'll make the catch. The A's get 2 singles but walk away empty-handed. Cubs lead by a pair.
Imagine yourself in
2-0 Cubs, bottom of the second upcoming. Cub fans join the team and help the Cubs deliver a best-in-class fan experience at Wrigley Field by applying for our 2023 seasonal job opportunities. For more information on available opportunities, scan the QR code or visit Cubs.com/jobs.
Mike Tauchman, Chicagoland native, born in Palatine. This guy's got some big league experience. 257 major league games.
Seiya Suzuki not likely to be ready to answer the bell. Opportunities open up now in the Cubs outfield, and Tauchman looking to take advantage of that opportunity. He's going to get plenty of looks here in camp.
Tauchman, 231 career average, 17 major league home runs. Let's see if the Chicago kid can get a rally going here in the second inning. Cubs lead 2-0.
Tauchman's most extensive playing time came with the Yankees back in 2019. He appeared in 87 games, 260 at bats. He had 13 home runs, slugged better than 500.
Curveball gets him out, number 1.
Cub fans, go to MarqueeSportsNetwork.com for the latest Cubs news and in-depth feature stories presented by Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent. Visit JeffVuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
Nelson Velasquez batting, and he'll take a changeup low and away.
Sears with 3 strikeouts here, all coming against left-handed bats. Hosmer, Barnhart, and now Tauchman. See if Velasquez can inflict some damage. Going to give in with the heater on 2-0. Good let up. John Patrick Sears, in case you're wondering what the JP stands for. An 11th round pick in 2017 out of the Citadel by the Seattle Mariners. Bounced around a little bit since then, made his big league debut last year, pitching for both the Yankees and the A's.
High in the air, shallow left center. Brown and Ruiz are there. The left-handed left fielder Brown snags it for out number 2. This Oakland franchise, they've been around for a long time. Since 1901, when they were the Philadelphia A's. And they were the Kansas City A's for a while. They've been the Oakland A's since 1968. Here's a trivia question for you. In their first game in Oakland, this man had a pinch hit single. He became a Hall of Fame manager, and he also played very briefly for the Chicago Cubs. Who is this man?
Tony La Russa.
Yes, sir. Tony had a late game pinch hit single in their first game in Oakland. And I believe he appeared in one game as a Cub back around 1973. Tony managed this A's team to their World Championship back in 1989. That was the Earthquake World Series between the Giants and A's. The A's had a run, the Bash brothers with Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco and Dave Stewart, the ace on the mound, and Dennis Eckersley, their closer. Liner towards center, coming in and grabbing it is Ruiz, and that ends the inning. Cubs lead by a pair. We go to the third inning.
Who drinks Budweiser?
A memorable moment. We flash back to August 4th of last season when Eric Hosmer returned to Kauffman Stadium for the first time as an opposing player after leaving in 2017 as a free agent. Royals fans gave him a standing ovation as he tipped his cap to the crowd. A great moment. And right now we welcome in Eric Hosmer, who is playing first base for the Chicago Cubs. Eric, welcome to the Cubs. What did that moment mean to you at Kauffman Stadium?
Appreciate you guys. It was that was an unbelievable moment for me. You know, my family got to be there. It's been about, we were supposed to go to Kansas City in 2020, and then obviously the schedule got redid and all that stuff. So it was about 5-6 years since I've been back there. It was special.
Eric, just give us I'll let him swing through that one before in case you had to make a play. Just your take on spring training so far in a Cub uniform. How you doing? How you feeling?
It's been great. You know, great atmosphere, feeling good. Obviously the big topic of the spring so far has been the weather. You know, it's been a little cold out here so far. But it's good for us. We're going to have to get used to it heading north to April, you know, so let's get used to it now.
Speaking of heading north, are you looking forward to playing at Wrigley Field?
Certainly is, man. I mean, I am. I've always looked at it on the schedule. You know, you always look forward to playing at Wrigley. It's such a special stadium, such a special atmosphere and all that. So, yeah, I'm gonna just let them know I'm going to get out of here because they probably don't want to. That boy Stro. I got a hot mic. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, that's all right.
I'll go this way. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it was fun. It was, you know, that's something you always look for. You always look for Wrigley. You always look for Fenway, certain parks like that. And to be able to call this home is going to be awesome.
Hey, so since you were about to walk up there, take us through what's going on the mound right now. I know you can't hear everything, but just what's usually said.
So we got a mound visit going right now. Stroh probably reached his pitch count. Tucker's a new guy, new catcher. You know, he's been catching these guys a little bit this spring, so I'm sure he's learning the arsenal here, learning what he wants to throw, and just kind of go from there.
You know, as a veteran guy on the infield, it would be typical, right, in the past for you to every now and then come in and, you know, serve as a cheerleader to the pitcher, pat on the backside, but you can't do that anymore, can you? With the clock that kind of goes away.
Yeah, we got to be careful of what we do. You know, we don't want to charge these guys with a visit, and now the step offs and stuff like that. So yeah, we definitely got to watch what we do. And there's certain times, you know, when the umpire takes a foul ball or catcher takes a bad foul ball, you want to give them some time. So those are stuff we're going to have to get used to, adjust a little bit. But it's a longer spring this year, so we should be able to get used to all that before we head out.
Have you noticed the bigger bases at all standing over there on first?
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, you don't really notice it until you get up on the base. It's similar, and then you get up close to the base and you realize it's noticeably bigger. It's a little flatter as well. Some of the bases, the old ones, would kind of rise up a little bit, so it's definitely a difference. You know, you notice it right away when you walk up on it.
So I saw you at Cub Convention, you, your wife Casey. What was that like for you guys experiencing that?
That was special. That was cool. You know, obviously, like we talked about before, 2020 really changed a lot of things. So it's been a while since I had been to a fan fest or a Cubs convention like that. But I mean, just hearing all the stories of people waiting early in the morning to get autographs and see these guys and see all the team, and that was cool. It was certainly refreshing to see that. You know, it reminded me of Kansas City, the great fans of the Midwest and all that. So it's a lot to look forward to.
Bailey Horn is the new pitcher for the Cubs. Cubs are on top 2-0, top of the third. We are visiting with first baseman Eric Hosmer. Eric, earlier today I watched the video of you scoring the tying run in the 9th inning in Game 5 of the 2015 World Series, as Diaz laces a base hit to left with one away here in the third. Eventually you would get to third and represent the tying run. If I can get the situation right, you were at third, one away. There was a ground ball to David Wright. You paused as you took your lead down the third baseline. As soon as Wright threw the ball to first, you broke for the plate.
Yeah.
And Lucas Duda made a bad throw. You scored the tying run. The next inning you guys would score and win the World Series. But has there been any other base running play of your life that's even closely as close to important as that?
Yeah, that was quite the rush. You know, that's definitely the one play I remember when we think back of the World Series. But I mean, playing with a little bit of house money. You know, we were up a couple games and facing Familia, who at that time was one of the best closers in the league, and it was really hard to hit off of him. So it was one of those things where, you know, if we can be aggressive on the bases, that was kind of our MO the whole year. We can take a chance here, and luckily it worked out.
Kind of a daring move, though. Had you been thrown out, that would have ended the game, correct?
Yeah, that would have ended that game. That would have, man, I'm glad that didn't happen, because I don't know how it would have unfolded, but it would have been a little different, that's for sure.
Eric, I see you're playing off the bag here, holding Diaz on. Is this the way you've always?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get into that. Right. Oh, here we go. So James Shields, when he came over from Tampa to Kansas City, taught me this. And you know, most of the time you're trying to tag the guy's hand here right on the bag, and he wanted to put it a little out over so I can tag the runner right on the back. So that's kind of something I picked up from him when he brought it over from Tampa to Kansas City, and just kind of kept it going all the way through.
We heard you chatting a little bit over there. Who's the most talkative guy when he gets on first base?
Man, there's a lot of good conversations to be had over here at first. You know, I've mentioned Votto a lot. Votto's a real fun conversation. Most of the time you're kind of just catching up with, you know, guys you played with in the past, or guys you haven't seen in a while, you know. So I'm not getting able to catch up with my boy Diaz over here because we got the mic on. So
fire him up. Fire him up.
I should have brought an extra earpiece. Boy, talk. Yeah, but Votto's always a good conversation over here. He's a really interesting guy, and he's been on social media a lot lately, so a lot of good social media questions for him.
We've seen Joey play many games, Eric. He's one of the great students of hitting, I think, that I've ever seen. Do you try to pick his brain a little bit?
Definitely do. You know, you're competing against him, but at the same time, you know, anytime you can kind of pick up a pointer or two from him, that's always something you want to do. He's been one of the best for a while. That boy Tuck.
You and your wife Casey welcomed a beautiful little boy Jack into the world last fall.
Yep.
How much do you expect that to be a topic of conversation for you over at first?
That'll be a big one for sure. You know, a lot of people have seen it on Instagram. You know, he was born in September, so going through the whole off season and now seeing guys in spring, everyone's asking how he is and when they can see him and stuff. So that's going to be a fun conversation to have. He's been a bundle of joy for Case and I.
How much has having him change your perspective on life?
Oh man, big time. You know, these Father's Day cleats are going to be a little more special this year because I'll be able to represent Big Mike back home and Jack as well.
Eric, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you guys.
First baseman Eric Hosmer. Cubs lead by a pair. We go to the bottom of inning number 3.
Hi. 2 A's 0. The MLB Ballpark app will complete your next visit to Wrigley Field. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
Nico Horner lines one of the gap in right center. This ball will be cut off, and Nico's going to have a standing two-bagger. Remember, he flied to the warning track in center his first time, so he's right on in his first two at-bats.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard both times. Deep drive first time, line drive this time towards that alley in right center. Even if Ruiz leaves his feet to cut this one off, it's going to be 2 bases for the speedy Nico Horner. And in the leadoff spot here in spring training, good chance he could hit leadoff during the regular season, something he has not done a lot at the big league level, just a handful of games there. Might be a very good fit.
Ian Happ will take a strike. There's always something dynamic, JD, about a leadoff hitter who has extra base hit potential.
Yeah, the guy who sprays the ball around the diamond with authority, and you like the speed at the top of the batting order. You like a guy who can lead off the game with a double. You know, the only thing he really doesn't do is walk a lot, but not as important if you hit for a high average.
Happ had a base hit and scored a run his first time. Drove in 72 a year ago. J.P. Sears delivers. There's a base hit. Horner's going to try to score, and he will, and the Cubs lead 3-0.
We talked about it last time Ian was up there. Good high ball hitter from the right side, and he gets this 2-strike fastball up out away from him. Catcher wanted that ball in a little bit more. It was up and out away from Ian. He was able to keep his hands high and get on top and slash that ball to right. So lead double, RBI single.
Cody Bellinger had a base hit and scored a run his first time. Activity will commence in the Oakland A's bullpen out beyond the wall and right. Temperature right around 50 degrees at game time. Undoubtedly, that's kept the crowd down a little bit.
One of those days where it's pleasant in the sun. And people out on the berm are just fine. In the shade in the grandstand, it's a bit chilly.
The shortstop Diaz steps on the bag, throws to first, and doubles up Bellinger for a quick twin killing. And the batter, Eric Hosmer.
See if we can get Eric some thanks for coming on the air karma here. Hit a gapper somewhere.
Hosmer struck out his first time. Cubs got 2 in the first, 1 here in the third.
The lifetime .277 hitter. We've got a timing violation called against Hosmer. There was not alert to the pitcher when that clock got down to 8 seconds. So it's now no balls, 2 strikes.
And that will end the inning. A double by Horner and a single by Happ. The Cubs score a run and lead by 3.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Cubs 3, A's 0, top of the 4th. Let's revisit this pitch timer rule. Pitcher has 15 seconds with the bases empty to start his delivery. 20 seconds with a man on base. Hitter must be alert within 8 seconds and get the first time out, or excuse me, he gets 1 timeout per plate appearance. So we'll take a look at Eric Hosmer's plate appearance last half inning and keep an eye on the clock as it ticks down. He's kind of wandering into the box. Figures he's got a couple seconds left. Not set. Boom. Clock at 7. He is not yet alert to the pitcher, and the violation is called. by his body language, you could tell he thought he had enough time, but he was just a little bit late getting set.
Cubs have a new man on the mound, Michael Fulmer, right-handed pitcher, former Rookie of the Year with the Detroit Tigers back in 2016. This pitch is chopped foul by the batter Ryan Noda. Fulmer.
He's an intriguing guy, former starter, and got off to a great start in his career. Rookie of the Year, All-Star within his first 2 seasons. Then he fell on hard times, made a transition to the bullpen, and has found success. Leaning heavily on his slider, but he's got a fastball that averages 94 miles per hour. 16 Rookie of the Year, 17 the All-Star season.
Went to high school in Oklahoma. Michael Fulmer comes back. And the count 2-2. He's the 5th Detroit Tiger ever to win the American League Rookie of the Year honor. Can you name 2 of the other 4, JD? You've heard of all 4 of these guys.
Detroit Tigers Rookie of the Year is the category. Okay.
Would the years help you a little bit?
How about Mark Fidrych?
Mark Fidrych. Right on the money. 1976. The Bird.
Kaline?
Al Kaline did not.
Norm Cash?
No. One guy is still an active player. There's a clue. It was 2006. Here's a bouncer to short. McKinstry will get his man at first. That's out number 2. Cubs lead 3-0, and the batter now is Jace Peterson.
2006.
He's still around and still effective, I might add.
Oh man.
Very effective.
Verlander?
That's it. Justin Verlander, 2006 American League Rookie of the Year as a Tiger. 1978 would be one of the other years. Lou Whitaker.
Sweet Lou Whitaker.
And then back in 1953, the late Harvey Keene. Harvey, a great hitter in his day.
Won a batting title, didn't he?
I believe he did, and he hit his career average over 15 big league years was .303. And then Harvey became a manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, led them to the World Series in 1982.
I believe Keene was traded for Rocky Colavito, right? And
yes.
One was the reigning batting title, and the other one was the reigning either MVP or home run leader or something like that.
I just read that earlier today. You're absolutely right. That's a true blockbuster trade right there.
Big time, man.
Fulmer misses upstairs. A 2-out walk keeps the inning going for J.J. Bleday.
Folks, the Newborn Fan Club presented by Toyota is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Sign up today and receive a photo of a custom birth announcement on the Wrigley Field marquee, a baby blanket, and a set of not 1 but 2 bibs. Visit Cubs.com/kids to scan the QR code for more information. You can't get away with just 1 bib. Those little creatures are messy. There's some rugrats getting after it. Yeah. Anarchy. Buzz off, Mom. I'm having fun. Let's go. Uh-oh. Somebody's taking charge. I feel like J.J. Bleday had a big game against the Cubs last year. I don't know. There's something about J.J. Bleday sticking in my head. Those were his big league numbers. Didn't have a ton of playing time. He had 20 home runs in AAA last year.
McKinstry will go to first, and that ends the inning. Fulmer puts a 0 on the board. Cubs still lead 3-0.
Right now is the best.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Marquee Sports Network is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Through it all. By Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer today. By Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by the Bob Lucurcio Auto Group. You're going to like buying a car this way. Welcome back to beautiful Sloan Park in Mesa. Partly cloudy, a little sunshine as well. Cubs lead 3-0. The A's with a new pitcher, Jake Fishman. See what he did in AAA a year ago. Pretty good ERA, 2.25. Nick Madrigal bounces one into left field, his second hit of the day. Madrigal with the game's biggest blow so far, a 2-out, 2-run double into the left field corner back in the first.
Yeah, that came on a 3-1 pitch. This time he's up there 0-0. First pitch swinging off the side-arming left-hander. Whacks one through the hole for a leadoff single. Leadoff double by Horner in the third. And he ultimately came around and scored.
Runner goes, ball taken, high throw, not in time. Stolen base for Nick Madrigal.
And nice aggressive lead, and we're going to see more and more of this as spring goes on, and as we get closer to the regular season. Guys are going to take big leads. They're going to challenge pitchers to use those disengagements that they have available to them, and expect to see a base stealing spike here in 2023.
There was a time when the stolen base was a big weapon offensively. Back in the days of Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman and Omar Moreno, just to name a few. Tim Raines. So you see that coming back?
Maybe not to that level, but I think we will see more base stealing.
Maury Wills and Lou Brock going back several decades. Prolific base stealers. Ricky Henderson.
Well, talk about the greatest A's of all time. He's right near the top of the list. Well, productive out there by Barnhart, gets Madrigal to third base, and that pulls the A's infield in.
Mike Tauchman with an RBI opportunity. Tauchman struck out his first time, takes a bender for a strike. Needs to put the ball in play.
Harris will get in Madrigal's ear down there at third base before every pitch and let him know if he's going on contact, and he wants him to see the ball through the infield.
When you were pitching in spots like this, you know the batter wants to hit at least a fly ball, something to the outfield. So are you more conscious of keeping the ball down?
Well, it depends on your stuff. The way I pitched up in the zone, I would be thinking more in terms of strikeouts. So I would be trying to elevate fastballs to get swing and miss. And obviously where you are in the game matters and what the score is. There are times where you're just trying to get an out and you're willing to concede a run if you have a, say a four-run lead or something like that.
Breaking ball missed. Full count now on Tauchman.
Tough to keep that front side in with that arm angle, the way he drops down like that for a left-handed hitter. Tauchman really fighting to keep that shoulder closed. And just missed the inside corner.
There's a base hit to drive in the run. I like the way Tauchman hung in there, JD. I didn't see that front shoulder bail out at all.
No, that's good, really good work. Strikeout victim gets a lefty first time up. This time he takes the count full. And you just got a real quiet approach, right? If you're focusing on contact, you want to kind of shorten the swing, quiet the lower body.
Cubs lead 4-0. Some good clutch hitting for the Cubs so far. 2-run double by Nick Madrigal in the first. Run scoring singles by Happ in the third, and now Tauchman here in the fourth.
We talked about Tauchman with Suzuki out of action, looking to force his way onto the ball club. Nelson Velasquez, another guy who will get consideration for at-bats out there in right field. Patrick Wisdom can go out there and play.
Native of Puerto Rico, Velasquez. We saw him hit some long home runs a year ago. Jake Fishman, the bearded left-hander, ready for the 1-1 pitch. This year, for the first time, every big league team will play all of the other 29 teams in the regular season. You don't play as many games within your division as a result of that change. This ball is way outside, running and taking second safely is Tauchman, a stolen base. Kemp had to scoop the ball out, and in that split second it took to scoop it, that is when Tauchman slid in with the stolen bag.
Even with the lefty out there, he got a pretty good jump, and Fishman not particularly quick to home plate. Schinberger.
Cubs will be in Oakland in the middle of April, early in the season, starting on April 17. What do you think of the new schedule, JD, with not as many games within your division, and yet you will see every single team in the other league at least once?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, a different look. I didn't mind all the divisional games. But I understand the thinking behind the new schedule, the idea that every other year at least, every team will come to town, at least once, so you'll get to see the stars from the other league that you normally don't see.
Yeah. It will not be more days of travel, but I think the flights will be longer. You're going to have to make an extra West Coast trip or two.
I think the Cubs have 4 or 5 3-city trips on the schedule this year, and I don't know that they had any last year.
Right.
It's definitely a go.
Velasquez out number 2, 2 down, a run in, a man at second, and the batter is Zach McKinstry.
Means we're going to have to do more homework, Pat. Have to know more teams.
Yeah.
You know.
You're okay with that, right?
No. I hate homework.
Does that go back to your childhood?
Yeah, absolutely.
School?
Yeah. Sitting at the kitchen table.
See, now I was born.
Be out riding my bike or something.
Now, my father was a college professor. My mom was an elementary school teacher before she met my dad, so I had no chance. There's a base hit to right. Rounding third, heading home, Tauchman. Here comes the throw to the plate, offline. Run scoring single, Zach McKinstry. Lots of clutch hitting for the Chicago Cubs in the first 4 innings of this game.
Cash in the stolen base. Tauchman swipes second. McKinstry hangs in there against his tough left-hander and delivers a solid single to right. No hesitation from Tauchman. Good secondary lead. No consideration whatsoever from Willie Harris to shut him down. Yeah, you had no chance, Pat. You're hitting the books.
Still hear my dad say, pick up a book and improve your mind. It's actually a pretty good idea. Nico Horner has had 2 good at-bats, a long fly out to center and then a double to the gap in right center.
Well, let's see if McKinstry tries to swipe a bag here.
JD, early in the spring, you're pitching, say it's your 2nd outing. You're part of the rotation back when you played, and you're going to probably make 5 or 6 starts in the preseason. What are your goals at this stage of Cactus League or Grapefruit League play?
Yeah, I just tried to get people out. I didn't really want to overthink it. I don't recall a time where I was going out with a specific plan to work on a single pitch. There was enough time to work in the bullpen between outings to do that. I just wanted to get outs and compete.
Horner pops it up. The second baseman Kemp will slap the leather on it, but another good inning for the Cubs. They score twice and lead by 5.
Who drinks?
At Sloan Park down in Mesa, Arizona. Today, Cubs president of baseball operations Jed Hoyer spoke to the media about multiple things, including Seiya Suzuki and the latest with his injury, that oblique strain that is considered moderate. He was asked about his initial reaction when delivered the Seiya news, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. I think he'd got himself in such great shape over the winter. He was obviously turning heads here. I think he was excited for his first real season, real spring training, getting used to everything, and obviously it's a setback, but it's actually in some ways better now have it happen now than have it during the season, and now just get him healthy and get him back and get to playing. So to me, a little bit of it was like a wake-up call for us. It was like, hey, this is what happens. As I always say, you write your lineup down on in the winter. It's never the lineup you write during the season. You always have injuries and things to deal with, and this was the first thing for us to deal with from a depth standpoint. We can certainly handle it, but the important thing is getting him 100% healthy and getting him right. And I know you guys asked about opening day or asked about return to play, and it's really just about making sure he's totally healthy. We don't want this to recur. We want him to have a really good season, and the best way we can do that is just really get him back to 100%. And whenever that happens, we'll do it. I think a lot of bad decisions are made around opening day. It's one day and on the calendar, but people rush back for it, and we want to make sure that we are patient. If he makes it back for that, that's great, but that's not what we care about. We just care about getting him totally healthy.
So with that, the depth of the organization comes into play, and Mike Tauchman going for the ball right now out in right field, right on cue. He is an option out there in right field, a guy who could see some reps with Seiya Suzuki, most likely not available come opening day. Trey Mancini has also played right field before, and Patrick Wisdom, another option out there. So how about that? Mike Tauchman must have heard us and said, I'm trying to make a case for myself to be that guy in right field.
Good timing, Taylor. Thank you. Tony Kemp stands in. Cubs lead 5-0, inning number 5. We thank you for joining us today. Kemp has walked and struck out. Rowan Wick, the man on the mound, native of Canada, North Vancouver, British Columbia. Chopper foul.
Rowick with an up and down the season last year. Ended up working 64 times, exactly 64 innings and a 4.22 ERA. Big Crow Armstrong has taken over in center field.
Little pop fly to left should be routine for Happ.
Let's talk prospects, Pat. Top 10 according to MLB.com. Top 10 prospects currently in the Cubs organization. You see PCA there, and number 1 Kevin Alcantara, unbelievable upside. Brandon Davis, Cade Horton, Wisniewski worked yesterday. Wicks, Murphy. See a lot of pitchers on this list, and Cubs have drawn a lot of criticism in recent years about not being able to develop pitching, but that narrative is changing.
Armstrong now in center, as you said. Great defensive player. He's a base stealer. He's got some pop. We saw him one game in the Cactus League a year ago over at Camelback Ranch against the Dodgers. It was only maybe 5 or 6 innings of play, but he's the kind of guy you only have to watch a few times, JD, to see that his head's in the game. He's a hustler. He's alert, and he's aggressive, and he's got some power.
Yeah, and he's got a little swagger to him too. He carries himself with a lot of confidence. He's just 20 years old.
Aledmus Diaz, the batter, looking at a ball down low. Wick just missing with that fastball. 2 down, nobody on.
But yeah, that's a good timeout by Barnhart because the clock was going to expire there. Why is that a ball? If he stepped off, he should stop the clock. No, he just treated it as a disengagement.
Wick seems confused. Getting a clarification now from the umpiring crew. Jordan Baker walks over to talk to Wick. In reading some of the data, JD, regarding pace of play and how long it takes players to adjust, in the minor leagues it seemed to be about a month before most of the players were okay with all the changes and had adapted to the pace of play.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I saw too, Pat. Like you could see Barnhart ask for timeout there. The umpires don't have to grant it, and I believe that's what happened. He was not given timeout, and then the clock expired.
Seth Brown takes outside for ball 1. I was chuckling reading one of the stories about Drew Smiley, one of the Cubs pitchers, and working with Tucker Barnhart the other day. The clock was running down. They didn't have a pitch decided yet. So Drew Smiley threw a pitch, and he said, I wasn't even sure what I threw. Because I just had to get it on its way to the plate, so I guess it was a fastball of some kind.
Right, and I guess that would just depend on what's going on in terms of the count and base runners, because there are times when you're probably better off just taking the penalty than just throwing something up there that somebody might crush.
Yeah. This ball is fouled past first.
But yeah, you could see it develop where a pitcher just kind of throws the ball about a foot outside, almost like a quarterback killing the clock in the NFL. They're just going to spike it and get a fresh clock.
And Drew Smiley the next day said, we really were thinking about coming up with a default pitch in case it was getting, the timer was running down and we didn't have a pitch decided on yet. Let's just, between us agree that there'll be a certain default pitch that we'll throw, whether it's a fastball or a changeup or whatever.
Yeah, like you can't agree on what you want to throw, but the clock's running down.
Got to throw something, and quickly. Wick strikes him out looking to end the inning. The A's do not score. The Cubs still lead by a high 5.
This copyrighted telecast.
Well, look at that. That is just lovely. It's a 5-0 Cubs lead here. It's the bottom of the 5th, located in the first row of the left field bleachers, the Hornitos Hacienda offers an incredible view of Wrigley Field. Be sure to bring your glove. You might get a souvenir from a Cub player. For details, scan the QR code or visit Cubs.com/Premier. You're right there. You're right on top of the action.
Sam Maul is the new left-handed pitcher for the Oakland A's.
Fire in a hole. Ugly finder into a very crowded dugout. A lot of bodies down there. It's lefty day here for the A's. One southpaw after another taking the mound. He worked 53 times last year and was effective with a 2.91 ERA.
Cubs still have 74 players in their major league camp. The A's with a lot of bodies as well. 67 guys still in their camp. But again, plenty of time to make cuts and reductions to the roster. Opening day 4 weeks away. Pete Crow Armstrong on deck. We'll get to see him bat for the first time here shortly. Happ has been right in the middle of a couple of rallies, singling and scoring in the first and driving in a run with a third inning single. Whenever a guy has a season like Ian did a year ago, which is to say his best year yet, you would love to see him get even better numbers. Maybe a few more home runs, drive in a few more, hit for a little better average. He was a Gold Glove winner in left field as well.
A huge jump in batting average from the right side. Just .213 in 2021, almost 100 points better last year. Similar spikes on base as you would expect, and slugging.
Happ has always been one of the best athletes on the team. Very fast. He can really run. And he takes a breaking ball outside for a leadoff walk. All right, here's Pete Crow Armstrong to face the left-hander. Happ will leave the game for a pinch runner.
Kevin Alcantara into the game now. He can really scoot. He's a heck of an athlete. Big kid, 6'6".
Native of Southern California, Pete Crow Armstrong waiting.
Ooh, good pass at that one. Good aggressive hack. Just 20 years old. Mets took him in the first round, number 19 overall in 2020. Came to the Cubs in the Javi Baez deal. Trevor Williams also involved in that. And a big year in the minor leagues last year. Gold Glove winner. Player of the month in April. Saw the numbers, speed power combination on display. Got Carter Hawkins on with us on opening day, and he said, the one thing they're looking for from Pete is maybe a little bit better decision making in the box. Not quite as aggressive at times.
This guy can beat you a lot of ways. Leadoff hitter, defense, stolen bases. Turns 21 here in the month of March. Came over in the Javier Baez trade with the Mets back in 2021. That's the thing about trades, JD. You've always got to be patient. It's not easy to do it sometimes, but you have to wait. about 3 to 5 years really to see which team got the better end of the deal.
Yeah, depending on the nature of the trade, right? If you're trading an established big leaguer for prospects, absolutely you have to wait to see how things play out.
Last year was the first full professional season for Pete Crow Armstrong, and it wasn't even full. Played just over 100 games, 101. This is low, head first dive at second, but out is Alcantara. Pretty good throw by the catcher, Langoliers.
Cubs have swiped a couple of bases today. Alcantara takes a shot, head first dive towards that back corner of the base. Tries the little swim move there, but apparently the tag applied before he could get the oven mitt to that back corner. That might be one you replay in the regular season. Yeah, I think he's probably safe.
Not only did Armstrong have 20 doubles a year ago, but 10 triples as well, and 16 home runs. So a little guy, yes, but he can hit a long ball and he can hit gappers. He gets a walk with one away here in the inning. And here's Eric Hosmer. A lot of fans always want to know about prospects, JD, and when is he going to be in the big leagues? Many times his performance will answer that question, or the necessities of the big league team at a particular time. If there's an injury, they need somebody right now. So you can't always say when exactly a guy's going to be in the big leagues. You just know certain guys will be. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, and there's other considerations as well. You could talk about service time and when you want to start that clock ticking on a player.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be fooled by the numbers, and that's why you lean heavily on your player development people down in the minor leagues who actually have eyes on the player, because you could see a guy putting up big time numbers in the minor leagues, but he might have a hole in his approach that needs to be tightened up a little bit that big league pitchers would exploit.
When you saw a rookie come along and you were, say, in the 5th or 6th year of your big league career, what would you try to do to a brand new player? Did you have a certain plan that you would use against all of them, or treat each guy differently and whatever his strengths might be?
This is going to be safe at second base for Armstrong. He got a really good jump. Yeah, I just you try to learn, right? That's the thing. If we didn't have the information that they have now when young guys come to the big leagues, I think they got a pretty good scouting report on most of these kids when they come up. So you'd get a detailed pitching plan against any of these guys that come up from the minor leagues. Back then we did not. So you were kind of on your own to see how he would react to certain pitches. And
Hosmer took a pitch that just missed, the count 2-2. Maul thought he had him. Cubs lead by 5. Broken bat back to the mound, and that's out number 2. Armstrong moving up to 3rd on the play. We talked about Hosmer from the 2015 World Series with that daredevil base running. There's the ground ball to David Wright, and Hosmer scoring the tying run as Wright cut in front of the shortstop, and then Lucas Duda made a bad throw. Now, that was a daredevil play by Eric Hosmer. There's a bouncer foul off the bat of Madrigal. We were discussing with Eric earlier, had he been thrown out at the plate, that game is over and the World Series goes to a 6th game. But Hosmer scored the tying run. The Royals would then go on and score again in the 10th inning and win the World Series that night.
It's the kind of base running play you would expect to see from a real speedy guy. But Eric is not a really speedy guy.
But if you're a runner at third on that play, JD, and you see the third baseman as you watch the replay, he was a good, David Wright was a good 50, 60 feet maybe away from third. You can dance halfway down the line practically. That's going to be a wild pitch, and a run will score. So the stolen base eventually leads to a run. Pete Crow Armstrong scoring on the wild pitch, and the Cubs lead 6-0.
Cubs have taken advantage with the stolen bases. It's led to 2 or 3 runs in this game, and here the wild pitch gets away from Langoliers. Armstrong streaks home, so walk, stolen base, wild pitch.
Popped in the air, shallow right, and a nice running catch by Kemp to end the inning. But the Cubs scratch out a run and lead by half a dozen.
What's going on? I'm Kevin Hart.
Billy Beane stepping down from day-to-day operations. He's been one of the best front office people in all of baseball with a limited payroll more often than not. He has gotten his team into the postseason with great frequency. He decided last November to step down. He'll be a senior advisor to the owner, John Fisher. And you see some of the things he was able to do, but I think very well respected throughout the game of baseball. Billy Beane.
Yeah, definitely an innovator. Read Moneyball, you learn all about the A's approach. Key component in this analytical revolution that we have seen over the last 20 plus years in Major League Baseball. Former player turned scout turned front office executive.
Cubs have a new man on the mound. This is left-hander Anthony Kay. This is about the time when substitutions take place rapidly in Cactus League play.
Anthony, 28 Major League games in his career and a 5.48 ERA. Appeared in just 1 big league game last year for the Blue Jays. Plus, the other thing that Billy Beane can brag about is Brad Pitt played him in the movie. So there's that.
Not many of us can say that, can we? You can see the defensive changes the Cubs have made all over the diamond. Mervis now at first. Strumpf at second. Alcantara stays in the game in left. David Bodie over at third. Up the middle, nice play, backhanded by Strumpf, and he makes the play to first. A smash up the middle. Strumpf gloved it, had time, and got his man. Nice play.
Yeah, right through the 5-hole, the pitcher Kay, and fortunately it doesn't hit him. Fortunately for a couple reasons, it would have hurt too. It would have deflected the ball, and they wouldn't have gotten their out. But here you go. He shoots, he scores, and Strumpf, you see, he's legal because he's on the right side of second base. But cheating in that direction, able to gobble it up and make a nice play.
Ryan Noda takes outside. Anthony Kay. They'll try to keep the shutout intact. JD, it would seem to me that some guys have used working quickly as part of their strategy as a pitcher. Here's a deep drive to right center, back toward the wall. This ball is going to be in there for an extra base knock. And Ryan Noda pulls into second with a standing two-base hit. A one-out double. Cubs lead by 6. I was thinking about this when I read about Brent Suter leaving Milwaukee over the offseason. I was thinking working quickly was a big part of his package.
Yeah, and he'll kind of lose that advantage because everybody's going to be working quickly now. It'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes, if any. He still is, will be more up tempo than most.
But watching Greg Maddux all those years, working fast was certainly a big part of his game. Fly ball to shallow right. Tauchman there to make the play, and that's going to be out number 1 here in the 6th inning. And going back many years, second out in the inning, I beg your pardon. Bob Gibson was a very fast worker. Randy Jones was an extremely fast worker. Jim Cott, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Jim Cott, especially later in his career when his stuff wasn't quite up to what he had been used to. One of the things he did is he went up tempo to keep the hitters off stride. It really worked well. Mark Burley, more recent vintage, was
good example.
He could get it and go.
Mark Clark, another guy that worked very fast, former Cub pitcher. Mark, a native of Illinois. I think he is still in the area, if I'm not mistaken. Chase Peterson has struck out and grounded out. Here comes the next offering.
So the one advantage the pitcher has in terms of dictating tempo in a situation like this, hitter has to be engaged with him with 8 seconds left on the countdown clock, and we kind of watch it here as it ticks down. So Kay can either go right at that moment or he can hold it to the last second, try to freeze the hitter a little bit.
Kay just missed.
I think what you want to do as a hitter is not engage with the pitcher until the last possible second. You don't want to be looking out there locked in on the pitcher with 14 seconds left on the clock and give the pitcher that much time to decide when to go. You can only maintain your peak concentration as a hitter for so long, and you're only allowed 1 timeout per plate appearance. But I guess that would be the the one option you would have as a hitter. If you engage with the pitcher, and by engage, I kind of make eye contact. I'm alert. I'm ready to go. And then if you feel like the pitcher's holding the ball on you, then you can call timeout. You get 1 per plate appearance.
What would you say would be the maximum amount of peak concentration? 10 seconds? 8?
I don't even think it's that long. I don't know. I know they've studied. I don't know the number.
Peterson strikes out. Anthony Kay puts a goose egg on the board. The Cubs lead by 6.
If you're sick,
Key Sports Network is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealer. Find the dealer nearest you at buyhyundai.com. By Advocate Healthcare. Let's live well and make the most of every moment, game day and every day. And by Wintrust, proud legacy partner of the Chicago Cubs and exclusive home of Cubs checking. We move to the bottom of the 6th inning. We thank you for joining us. First pitch from Domingo Acevedo, the new right-hander for Oakland, is fouled away.
Big dude, 6'7", 240, 70 appearances for the A's last year, posting a 3.33. Pat Foley would say. Tree, turdy, tree. Earned run average.
Tucker Barnhart waiting. Dribbles one foul, nothing and two. Lots of changes around the diamond for both teams.
Oh my, you got all kinds of newbies out there. Hurry, fill up your lineup card. Tucker probably just happy to see a right-hander. Nothing but lefties so far for the A's today prior to Acevedo.
In the air to right center, playable for either Ruiz or Blade. Ruiz makes the catch.
Take home a game used or autographed item and help benefit Cubs charities. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia, with all net proceeds benefiting Cubs charities. Visit Cubs.com/authentics today.
Mike Tauchman drove in a run his last time. Tauchman singled, stole second, scampered home on a base hit by McKinstry.
Yeah, he's had a nice day. Made a nice diving play out in right field.
Cubs with a lot of clutch hits today. Out hitting Oakland 8-4. They've led ever since a two-run double by Nick Madrigal in the first inning. Tauchman is out number 2 as he fans. Jonathan Perlaza will be the batter for the first time. Batting for Velasquez in the DH spot.
This kid has had some impressive swings here in the early going of spring training. Not that one.
1-2-3 inning for Acevedo at the end of 6. Cubs 6, A's nothing.
I'm Patrick Wisdom.
Network is brought to you by UI Health, changing medicine for good. By Toyota, official vehicle of the Chicago Cubs. By Prevagen. Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist recommended memory support brand. And by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Fans basking in the sunshine on this Thursday afternoon. Cubs lead by 6 over the Oakland A's. Tyler Duffy, the new man on the mound for the Cubs, JD.
Those numbers compiled with the Minnesota Twins. Duffy with Minnesota since 2015. Now where's the Cub Blues? Not wasting any time out there. So a couple of days ago, and he came in and struck out the side. So Duffy and Nunez behind the plate, and Brennan Davis takes over for Tauchman out and right. That's pretty good prospects out there in the outfield. That could be your outfield of the future for the Cubs.
And Duffy strikes out the leadoff man. Let's go to Taylor McGregor.
Thanks so much. Here with Mike Talkman. Mike, for you, we've been told that you were wanting to play at home. What does it mean for you to play in a Cubs uniform this spring so far?
I mean, it's been awesome. You know, I mean, that's the team I grew up watching, you know, rooting for, going to games. You know, so that's been special. And then just the people in the building have been very welcoming, and it's a really good group of guys. So, you know, it's been really good so far. What's your favorite memory of watching the Cubs growing up? Probably the summer in 1998. Like, that was, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, and that's like, you know, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were doing their thing, and you know, it's like the summertime, so you're like watching the games at night, like going to the pool, playing baseball with your friends, like stuff like that. Like, I mean, it was like perfect summer like type stuff, you know. How would you describe the way you've grown as a baseball player from where you were a year ago to right now? I think you always just you pick up little things along the way. You know, try to learn from, you know, things you don't do so well. Try to get better in areas. Try to keep, you know, yourself in shape. I think that something that's always important for me is just making sure my body feels good, and you know, staying on top of stuff like that, and really taking care of myself as I get older. And you know, if you do that, then you know, whatever happens on the field is kind of what happens. How did it feel playing out in right field today? It was good. It was good. Yeah. I mean, playing with two really good outfielders always makes it a little bit easier, because it's like, all right, I just got to do my job because you know they're going to do theirs. You certainly made some plays out there. Appreciate your time. Pat, we'll send it back to you.
Taylor, thank you. Thanks to Mike. As he was talking about 1998, I flashed back to May the 6th of 1998. Very famous game at Wrigley Field. Kerry Wood struck out 20 members of the Houston Astros. You were an Astros broadcaster at that time. It's the greatest pitch game I've ever seen, JD, and I've covered 8 no-hitters, but the best pitch game was Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. Have you seen a better game than that?
I don't think so, Pat. I'm with you. I've seen a number of no-hitters. I've called Matt Cain's perfect game with 16 strikeouts with the Giants. I guess that'd be the one that comes closest to Kerry's effort. But yeah, I mean, 20 strikeouts, hardly even allowed foul ball.
No walks.
Pure dominance. Didn't walk a man.
He did hit Craig Biggio with a pitch, I recall. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters not only were 0 for 9, it was Jeff Bagwell, Moises Alou, and I believe Jack Howell. That was your 3, 4, 5 hitters. They were 0 for 9 with 9 strikeouts in a big league game. The middle of the order did not put a ball in play.
Yeah, it's like the big kid in Little League, right? It's the big bruiser that dominates all the kids and strikes them all out.
And I think I read that those 3 men only hit 2 foul balls the entire day.
There's only 2 foul balls. What? 2 foul balls?
From the middle 3 guys in the order. Yeah. They struck out all 9 times, so they're 0 for 9 to begin with.
Yeah, well, it was either Bagwell or Biggio after his first at bat came back to the dugout and said, "No chance today, boys."
Now, Shane McReynolds, as I recall, was the Astros pitcher. He pitched a good game.
Yeah, Shane was really good.
He struck out 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm. To Duffy's last outing with all the strikeouts. He's back at it here today. This is strikeout number 2 for him. That curveball is quite a weapon.
2 down, a man at first. And Muncy stands in. Another good breaking ball, and the count 1-1. But it's hard to believe it's been 25 years almost since Kerry Wood struck out 20 members of the Astros. Here's a base hit to left. Alcantara backhands it and gets it back in. I chuckle sometimes thinking about the very first pitch that Kerry Wood threw. I've told this story before, but I think it bears repeating. Sandy Martinez was catching, and he couldn't get his glove up in time. The ball actually hit the mask of the home plate umpire, Jerry Meals. This is the first pitch of the game, JD.
Yeah.
And I went to Sandy the next day or two, and I said, Sandy, what was the deal? Did you get crossed up on the first pitch of the game? He said, no, it was so fast, I just couldn't get my glove up there in time.
Yeah, well, so you know the hitters are going to have a hard time if the catcher can't catch it. There's a pretty good chance the hitters aren't going to be able to do much with it either.
That's exactly right. But I had never seen that before. A first pitch where it looked like the guy was crossed up. Tyler Soderstrom is the batter, and he'll take a strike. The Cubs lead by 6. We are in inning number 7. And Duffy coming back.
Tyler enters this season with a little over 5 years of Major League service time, as I mentioned, all compiled with the Twins. He debuted with them back in 2015. As a starter his first 2 seasons in the big leagues before transitioning to the bullpen.
Armstrong almost overran the ball. It was kind of knuckling on him, but he made the catch. And the A's still without a run. By Sloan from the Innings Festival in Arizona. Join Ryan Dempster as he sits down with Eddie Vedder, Hall of Famer Randy Johnson, and more. Don't miss this hour-long special Sunday at 5 p.m. Jimenez, the new man on the mound. Danny Jimenez, you can see what he did a year ago. Again, both teams with a lot of bodies, especially on the pitching staff. They're trying to take a look at as many of the young players as they can before they make the roster cuts. Sometimes you're looking at a guy, you know he's not going to be on the opening day roster, JD, but if somebody should go down with an injury, sometimes what he did in the Cactus League is the reason he gets the call ahead of somebody else.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to I think just to be around big league camp for a lot of, especially the really younger guys, just to be around the big league scene, to get comfortable, so in case they are called up, it's not such a shocking transition. Element of been there, done that.
First offering by Jimenez is taken by McKinstry for ball 1. Zach with a run-scoring base hit back in the 4th inning. If you're just joining us, the Cubs got 2 in the first, a 2-run double by Nick Madrigal. They scored a run in the 3rd when Ian Happ drove in Nico Horner with a single. 2 more tallies in the 4th inning. Run scoring hits by Mike Tauchman and Zach McKinstry. Cubs able to scratch out a 5th inning run on a walk, a stolen base, and a run scoring ground out.
McKinstry, the only starter still in the lineup for the Cubs. This may be it for him, this 3rd at bat, and then so he'll probably move on to somebody else. 2 good plate appearances so far. A line out and a single for Zach this afternoon. In the mix for a bench spot, he, Madrigal, Miles Mastrobuoni, Edwin Rios, David Bodie.
McKinstry out on strikes. Overhand curveball, it looked like. That's out number 1.
On Saturday, April 1st, Cubs Brewers first pitch 1:20. First 10,000 early arriving fans will receive a Cubs picnic blanket presented by Marriott Bonvoy. Purchase tickets at Cubs.com/tickets.
Well, looking at the division, speaking of Milwaukee, they figure to be a strong contender again. Even though they did not make the playoffs a year ago, they made it the previous 4 years, and they still have a pretty good nucleus of a starting rotation intact, even though they lost their closer Josh Hader, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer. They're hoping Freddie Peralta can come back from injury.
Yeah, the Ashby kid. Starting rotation is a real strength of that club. They've added Jesse Winker to the lineup. He's coming off a down year, but expect him to put up some pretty good numbers in Milwaukee.
They also picked up a catcher, William Contreras, the younger brother of Wilson, in a 3-way trade with these A's and Atlanta and Milwaukee. William Contreras now figures to be in the mix to catch a lot of games for Milwaukee. David Bodie having a good spring. Fouls it over our heads. David homered in the opener on February 25. It went just about to dead center.
Look out.
Bodie gets hit by the pitch. It had to sting on this cool day.
Yeah, up there, you know, getting an at bat, wanting to do a little damage. No fun to get drilled by a heater. But yeah, you're right. He's off to a good start here. It's obviously a very small sample, but so far so good for David Bodie, who's been outrighted off the 40-man roster. So perhaps a little chip on his shoulder and convince everybody he deserves to be on the 25-man roster when camp breaks. 26-man roster, I should say.
And a little bruise on his shoulder at this moment after the hit by pitch. Kevin Alcantara, the batter. That's going to be fielded. Backhand play by Davidson, and he starts an around the horn double play. Cubs still lead by 6.
For the 8th, Cubs lead the Athletics 6-0. Zach McKinstry 1 out of 3 today, including this RBI single, a rocket to right field to play to run. We saw Zach last year. He's battling to be on the club this year, and he's going to have a chat with our Taylor McGregor right now.
Yeah, he is right now, and he just watched the highlights of today. What stood out to you about what you were able to do today?
Seeing the ball well. Yeah, driving it in the gap or in the gap with guys in scoring positions big time. Especially for my confidence, getting that first one out in the spring out of the way, and just keep going.
Okay, so it's about 50 degrees here in Arizona, which means I have a hand warmer. You've utilized hand warmers during the game before. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, so I was playing the outfield, and it was about 50 degrees in LA, and I had a hand warmer in my glove, and I dove for a ball that was foul, and the hand warmer kind of shot out. And Hershiser said a little thing. It was 50 degrees out that I shouldn't have hand warmers.
I fully condone the hand warmers in 50-degree weather. Just saying. You have some old friends from the Dodgers, Bellinger and Rios. What has it meant to you to have those guys in camp with you?
Yeah, just some familiar faces. They kind of lighten the room up a little bit. They're both pretty goofy guys, just kind of keep it light and are really good people.
You spent your off-season down here in Arizona training at this facility. How do you feel like that sets you up for the season?
Yeah, I mean, I spent the season, off-season with Keegan, Noel, our strength coach, and all of our strength people down here, a few of the PT guys, and it was really needed, and I gained some weight, put on some good weight, got a little faster, and yeah, they kind of chalked it out for me, and I didn't really have to do much thinking, so that was good.
How do you feel like you've reacted to the rule changes so far?
Great. I mean, this is kind of where I was last year, just kind of competing for a job, and just got to keep moving forward and enjoying it.
Appreciate your time. Guys, what do you think about 50 degrees hand warmers?
Let's go. Toughen up.
What? No, totally necessary. Thank you.
Taylor, thank you. Thanks to Zach. We are in the 8th inning. Julian Merriweather is the new man on the mound for the Cubs.
It's a dry 50 degrees, though. It feels colder.
Little chopper foul. One away in the inning. Cubs lead by 6.
Merriweather, hard-throwing right-hander, average fastball velocity of 97 miles an hour. He'll go slider, change, and curve as well. Put up very good numbers last year in 26 appearances, a 6.75 ERA, but he is out of options, so he may have an inside track and a spot in that Cubs bullpen.
Sergio Alcantara playing short. Kevin Alcantara in left. And that's going to be ball 4, JD.
Just need to get Arizmendi back. Corner the market on Alcantara's. Or get that kid from the Marlins. That's the one you really want, right?
Sandy?
Sandy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sandy Sai Alcantara.
Of all the Alcantaras in the world, if you could have one, that would be the one.
Mm-hmm. Jonah Bride at the plate.
I wonder if he was ever teammates of Buddy Groom. I'm going to guess not.
Groom and Bride?
Yeah.
Breaking ball missed. A ball and 2 strikes.
Buddy Groom was a big leaguer from 1992 to 2005.
What a stop by Bodie. Gets up and makes the play. There's the play of the day. David Bodie with a brilliant diving backhand stop.
Yeah, that was about as slick as it gets. That ball really well struck by Bride. Great reactions and then a good strong throw.
Got to his feet very quickly and made an excellent throw. Cal Stevenson stands in for the A's. Should be getting the attendance figure here shortly. Cubs set an all-time record in the opener last Saturday. Over 16,000 for a Cactus League game. And that is strike number 3, and the inning comes to an end. Cubs lead by 6.
Cubs lead 6-0 going into the bottom of the 8th. For spring training, this is an important time for some guys getting ready for the upcoming season, and for others, it's a time to prove their skill set and see whether or not they can make the opening day roster. Today, speaking with Cubs President of Baseball Operations, Jed Hoyer, he was asked about how he constructs a roster, and here's what he had to say.
Ultimately, you want to build a bench that's that can complement your team really well. Depth is important, and having guys that can help Rossi in game is really important. So if he's going to double switch, I guess don't double switch anymore, but if you're going to take someone out of the game for to pinch hit, you want to make sure that guy can also play defense, or that guy also fits the right position, and give Rossi the ability to manage the game the way he wants to manage the game. So a lot of times when we get towards the end of spring, those are a lot of the conversations like, how are we going to use this player? What are the situations that this guy's going to impact us? Which players are we going to pinch hit for? Which guys are we going to defense for? How's that going to fit? And I mean, the coaching staff and Rossi have a big input on that, because ultimately you want bench players that can start when you want to give a guy a day off. But you also want guys that can complement your team in game, whether it's platoon, defense, speed, etc. And those guys have a big part of it. Still conversations. There's still free agents out there, so I wouldn't be shocked if we brought someone in. Like Andrew Bassett and his group are always working, but generally done. But like I said, if someone came into camp, I wouldn't be shocked, just because there are some players out there, in particular some relievers out there.
So there you go. Don't be surprised if a new face shows up here around camp. Still some free agents available, and potentially one to land on the north side of Chicago, guys.
Taylor, thank you. Matt Mervis batting for the first time today. Zach Jackson, the new pitcher for the A's. That pitch in the dirt. It'll be a wild pitch. And the Cubs have a man at second with nobody out here in the 8th inning, leading by 6.
Armstrong back in the 5th. Walk stole second, ultimately scored. Here Walk, and now advancing on this ball in the dirt, hesitating not at all. Ball, as soon as he saw that thing in the dirt, he was off and running. There's no play to be made on him. RBI opportunity now for Mervis, who drove in a bunch of them in the minor leagues last year. I believe 119 batted in, 36 home runs. He ascended through the Cubs minor league system. Yeah, there are the numbers. .605 slugging percentage for the former Duke Blue Devil.
Just foul. Mervis had 40 doubles. In addition to those 119 RBIs, 36 home runs. But you also got to like the batting average, JD. He was not an all or nothing type hitter. He hit .306.
Yeah, he's got a real good idea, Pat. Knows the strike zone. Makes good decisions in the box. Just got beat there by Jackson. Kind of a funky right-hander. Not a real hard thrower, but it's a funky delivery that he features.
Chase Strumpf at the plate. A riding fastball, almost a wild one. Cubs looking for their 3rd win in 7 games this spring. The A's have split 4 games and also played to a tie yesterday with the unlikely score of 14-14 against Cincinnati. You mentioned that one earlier, JD. That's one of those funny things that happens every spring. The pitchers and catchers report about 10 days before the rest of the position players. So the theory is that the pitchers are ahead of the hitters, right? They've been here longer. They've been, they've been down here. Well, if they're ahead of the hitters, how come 28 runs are scored in one game?
Yeah,
right.
I don't think they are ahead of the hitters. That's just something people started saying years ago, and everybody just keeps saying it. Plus, the run scoring environment here in Arizona is really good. The ball really flies. Here's a look at our upcoming schedule. It's brought to you by Hyundai, and you'll see Marquis is going to bring them all your way. Pods tomorrow. That's a night game. Then the Angels, Rockies, M's, Rangers, Team Canada, bitter rivals. Reds, our first look at the Sox will come on next Friday, and then the MLB Network has the Dodger game on the 11th.
Dom Nunez batting for the Cubs. 2 men on, 1 down, last of the 8th inning. The runner goes. They're going to get him at third. That is out number 2, holding at first on the play. As Nunez waits for Jackson. How's your scorebook looking over there, JD?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, no. Actually, I went a little deeper into the game today than I normally do, but kind of lost it.
And that will end the inning. We go to the 9th. The Cubs on the threshold of a win here in sunny Mesa, Arizona.
Hey, welcome back. I believe the next time we see Marcus Stroman pitch, it will be in the World Baseball Classic for Team Puerto Rico. Today he made his second start of the spring, went 2 1/3, 2 hits, did not allow a run. He walked a man, struck out 4, so 2 solid efforts for Marcus so far this year. He'll turn his attention now to the WBC. We'll turn our attention to the mound where there's a new chunker into the ballgame for the Cubs. Left-hander Ryan Baruki. He's from Mundelein. Wearing number 77, and he pitched 32 times last year, posted a 5.68 ERA.
Cubs have led all day ever since a 2-out, 2-run double to left in the first inning by Nick Madrigal.
Ryan pitched for Toronto and Seattle at the big league level last year. '15th round pick of the Jays back in 2012.
That is going to be an extra base knock. Pulling in at second with a standing 2-bagger for the Oakland A's. Christian Pash.
Well, Justin Steele slowed a little bit with a fatigued shoulder this spring, but he will make his spring debut tomorrow evening against the Padres over in Peoria. And you see how he finished the 2022 campaign. Post All-Star break, he was one of the best.
Denzel Clark at the plate. The lead by Pash at second. Baruki delivers. It was very cloudy this morning and cool. It's still a little on the brisk and chilly side, but the clouds have blown away. Lots of blue sky. I would guess somewhere around 9,000 attended today's ball game between the Cubs and A's. Good change of pace gets Clark, and that's going to be out number 1. Logan Davidson ready to bat. Good fastball strike. I believe there was a violation or just a time, maybe just a timeout.
Yeah, I agree. A little equipment thing here for Nunez. And now the clock is ticking.
In the air to left, pretty well hit. Back is Alcantara, runs it down and makes the catch. He got a good jump on that play. Never took his eye off the ball, and that's going to be out number 2.
And Davidson gives this one a pretty good ride, but Alcantara closing in a hurry here. As I mentioned earlier, he's a tremendous athlete.
The A's are down to their last chance. It's been a clean game. No errors today.
Yeah, Cubs have been very good defensively so far this spring, and we expect them to be really good defensively, and I think it may be a byproduct of the pitch clock too. Things go quickly. Infielders stay engaged.
Yeah. The A's are going to get on the board with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Max Muncy with a double into left center, driving in their first run of the day, and the Cubs lead is now 6-1.
Yeah, the ball that Alcantara was able to run down was a little bit of a hanging breaking ball, and this is another one too. Slider that stays up a little bit. Muncy puts a charge in it. Nobody's going to run that one down, and we'll go for an RBI double.
Tyler Soderstrom waits, swings and misses. Good sinking fastball from Borucki. And once again, the A's are down to their last strike. Cubs on the brink of winning their 3rd Cactus League game this spring. And that'll do it. Big curveball gets them. Final thoughts from you, JD.
Well, Pat, it was an enjoyable ball game. The Cubs played a tight game. They got a lot of clutch hits. They pitched well. They caught it. And a nice W, and I enjoyed it. Good to be with you. Welcome to the
Sounds
desert.
good, JD. Thank you. For Jim DeShays, Taylor McGregor, and our entire crew, it's Pat Hughes saying thank you for watching Cubs baseball on the Marquee Sports Network. The final, Cubs 6, A's 1. The action continues tomorrow night as the Cubs travel to the Padres. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. We'll see you then.